This is the Grassroots Education and Entertainment Network, your number one source of information, education, and entertainment. For honest, responsible, and dependable information, we stand supreme. To stay focused, inspired, and relaxed, choose green.
The culture.
And welcome to the Ifa Orisa Tradition Community Discussion with our host, Baba Iwaliwa.
Ifa Orisa, welcome again to another evening. Exciting times. But first, I'd like to start with Iwori Mechi. Well, I'll just read the English because a lot of people still trying to comprehend the Yoruba. You hearing me well?
Yes, I am. We're hearing you quite clear.
Are you hearing me well?
Yes, I am.
Are you hearing me well?
Yes,
Okay.
I am hearing you quite well.
All right, thank you. So, all right, I'll say as you give praise to Lady Mary and you enough today, again, for it was a well spent day, blessed with plenty enlightenment and plenty blessings. And we ask her to Lord Mary continue to. All right. So we ask Lord Mary that continue to bless us. Continue to guide you, hear me?
Yes, I am.
All right. All right. Iwori Mechi. Iwori. Take a critical look at what affects you. If you undergo Ifa initiation, you tell you do, endeavor to use your wisdom and intelligence. You will take a look at what affects you. I will do not use a broken rope to climb a palm tree. You will take a critical look at what affects you. I will do not enter the river without knowing how to swim. You worry. Take a critical look at what affects you. I will do not draw a knife out of the anger. You worry. Take a critical look at what affects you. I will do not be in haste to enjoy your life. You worry. Take a look at what affects you. I will do not be in a hurry to acquire wealth. You worry. Take a critical look at what affects you. I will do not lie. Do not be treacherous. You worry. Take a critical look at what affects you. I will do not deceive in order to enjoy your life. You worry. Take a critical look at what affects you. I will do not be arrogant to elders. You worry. Take a critical look at what affects you. I will do not lose hope. You worry. Take a critical look at what affects you. I will do not make love to your colleague spouse. You worry. Take a critical look at what affects you. I will, when you have been given.
Okay, we seem to be having some little glitch. For some reason, we have lost the host of today's program. All right, but we will await his return, and I would not be able to continue reading the essay Ifa because I do not have the passage before me that he was reading from. However, I would mention that today's topic is going to be about good character, um, and the order of importance in which the list is given, which we're going to discuss today. Um, the term that is used in the tradition that describes what we know in the diaspora as integrity is Omoluabi, and that is going to be our major discussion for this week. I think maybe in the latter part, we might have time to discuss a subject that the host wanted to introduce today, which is polygamy. I know that is a very touchy topic and is a very controversial topic. You know, it's an area that a lot of people is not particularly comfortable with, and the main reason being that it has not been a major part of the pattern of life in the diaspora. All right, there are some religions that promote that style of family, and some degree they have had some success, but not without criticisms. Um, but of course, the major topic today, as I mentioned, that we sort of touched a little bit on last week was Omoluabi, which is the topic that is going to be covered for today. All right. The host is back in the studio with us, so we will allow him once he comes up to finish reading the essay Ifa. Baba, I was just talking about the topics that we're going to discuss today, including the very
All
controversial
right.
one. So go ahead and finish read the essay
Okay.
Ifa. So we have a formal opening and then we will take it from there.
All right. So what I was reading in terms of Iwori Meji, where it speaks of when one initiates, is that we should take a critical look at what affects us. So I just read the closing of the stanza. How, when you have been given Ifa initiation, initiate yourself again by using your wisdom and intelligence. Iwori, take a critical look at what affects us. So when we go into the first part of the subject, which we talk about Omoluabi, in terms of ourselves, what we as initiates, as all also devotees and followers of Ifa and Orisha, is what you strive for. Omoluabi is a Yoruba word that outlines the cultural concept of to describe a person of absolute goodness and epitome of humanity. Well, most time we say generally one must have Iwapili. Continue, we always strive that Iwapili, Iwarere, one must have Iwapili that may enter into the house of kings. We must have Iwapili that will be always be welcome in any space. Iwapili is what allows us to sit at the feet of Olodumare. The Omoluabi concept.
All right. Again, we seem to be having a frequency of this problem. But nonetheless, I would start to get into the subject for this week, which is Omoluabi, by starting to discuss the first thing on the list of priority. Now, the word itself seemed to be comprised of two parts, right? And the two parts of the word relates very deeply to the tradition, or what is referred to as Isheshe. All right. Now, the first part of the word speaks about a child
Mm.
or a person. All right. And the last part of the word, which is lua b, refers to the concept of Iwa, and Iwa has to do with, of course, a term that we are familiar with, Iwa Pili, which has to do with what we refer to as good character. But this term is a term that is used very widely by many persons. But I think one of the problems we have is we generally look at it
That's
from a diasporic conceptual viewpoint. Okay? And the problem with that is that
important.
West African tradition places different values on different aspects of human characteristics. So, therefore, what we may pride ourselves in the West as being good character may not necessarily be the way it is viewed by Isheshe. All right, we have a list that includes several human traits that are associated to having this ideal characteristics. And the very first one on the list is referred to as orosiso, which is speech. Now, I would want to put this subject in context, right? And when I say that, I'm just going to give a little bit of a historical background about the importance of speech in African tradition. Now, most traditions in Africa, not all, most traditions are oral traditions. And by that, what do we mean? We mean that the tradition and the information, the values and the practices and everything is transmitted via mouth, from mouth to ears. So all the messages are passed down through speech, through song, through poetry, through chants, through folk tales, through fables, through stories that are normally narrated. It's also, particularly in African culture, there are many proverbs and wise sayings that are passed on from the elder to the young. All right. Now, the skill of being able to transmit this information through speech or through various forms of performances has been entrusted by people who has developed this skill through training. In some cases, it's through a particular lineage. The title that is normally given to such a person is known as the griot. All right. In Trinidad, we say Chantwell. Right. In other parts of Africa, there is a name that is also used that is called the Jali. All right. But it is not only something that is done by male. In some cases, you also have females who are part of this art of storytelling. And the females are referred to as a griot or a griot. All right. Now, the role of the griot has evolved over a very long period of time. And some of the responsibilities that later on became a part of the role of the griot was also to give oral history, right? Beside the folk tales and the proverbs, and also in cases where there were celebrations, the responsibility would be also to provide entertainment, okay? Whether it be through the same narration of stories or songs or performances, even. So I'm saying all of this to say that the role of speech plays a major part in the transmission of the culture and the cultural values of African people. So, this is one of the reasons why this particular thing of speech is placed on the very top of the list. All right, Baba, I don't know what you might want to add in terms of speech as it relates to what we refer to as integrity. Here in the West, we call it integrity.
All right. All right. Um, well, I was says one of my Yahoo to read one of the message from what you do from Oturapon Obalufon, which is Otupa Warren. Let's read it for me. Loud.
Aboru Aboye.
Loud.
Ifa says, whenever we wake up, it is wisdom we should be teaching each other. We should not wake up at dawn and lay the foundation of foolishness. Whatever we deliberate upon, which cannot be resolved, there is
Yeah. You're not in?
Yes, we are hearing Baba.
You hear no?
Yes, Baba.
All right. So go ahead, read it there for me then.
Ifa says, whenever we wake up, it is wisdom we should be teaching each other. We should not wake up at dawn and lay the foundation of foolishness. Whatever we deliberate upon, which cannot be resolved, there is the need to consult Ikin, Ashi.
Sure.
Asha.
All right. So what I say, if I says that when we wake, we should speak wisdom. As you expressed in terms of language and the historical connections of the Grimoire, the Griot, the Chantwells, you know, even we used to identify as we Calypsonians in this time here. We have to now clearly define in terms of when we are singing either a chant, is a prayers, if it's an invocation, you know, because we may just speak, and if we are not using the right words, right energy to speak to connect what it is we are saying, we we tend that we may not really get our message across. 'Cause remember, when we pray, when we do our invocation, it is not for our ears, but it's to cross the threshold into the cosmic space. So this I want to emphasize that people must be clear in terms of the words that they are using and when they are speaking and in reference to our spirituality.
Okay. Baba was just emphasizing on the importance of clarity in the use of language. And I do think that that is a very important point, particularly when we're dealing with the transmission of cultural values and the information, in particular, the tenets of the tradition for those who practice the tradition. Um, I want to give an example of how this could become a very problematic thing. For many devotees who are fortunate enough to have instructors, whether it be an Araba or any other title holder in the motherland who teaches or imparts the knowledge of the practice and the tradition to persons in the diaspora. If the person who is giving this information to you have difficulties with the English language, a lot of the information that is being transmitted, a lot of the essence of it could be lost in the process. This is something that could be very easily picked up on if one was to spend a lot of time doing research from varying sources of cultural information and tradition information, or what they refer to as Isheshe. Now, it is very difficult to overcome the linguistic barrier where research is concerned. However, sometimes using different sources of information sometimes allow you to sort of be able to cut through and penetrate and look for the commonality that sort of links all the various authors and the persons bringing the information together. Once you find that common link, you would be able to identify those points very strongly and be able to get the essence, maybe, of what is being given. Um, Now, one of the problems also that we have in trying to receive the information, particularly people from the diaspora, is, as I've mentioned before on more than one recordings, being able to interpret and unlock some of the information would require some measure of knowledge of the Yoruba language. Also, being able to do some reading in that language broadly. Because one of the problems we would have is trying to understand the idioms that are used in the language. When I say that, a term that is used and it has a historical association, it may have a symbolic association that we may be unfamiliar with in the diaspora, which would make it very difficult for us to be able to fully grasp the essence of that particular subject that is being discussed. All right. Um, so therefore, the first thing that was listed was the speech, and now I would move on to something else on the list of priority. But it is important for us to try to contextualize it, because the way we may view things in the diaspora may not necessarily be the way things are viewed from the other side, meaning from the African viewpoint. All right. The second thing on the list is Riba, all right, which is obedience. All right. Now, in the West here, anytime we hear the word obedience, it is generally associated to compliance with orders, request, law, or submission to another's authority. Now, to some extent, that will carry over when we make reference to Isheshe. All right. Now, I want to give a little backdrop so we could contextualize things again, just like I did with speech. Obedience is an essential characteristic or quality that everything in nature has. And I'm going to explain what I mean by that. Every species that exists understands and functions within its natural role or the natural order of the universe. and in particular of the planet here that we live on. Now, from last week's show, we spoke about what is a community, right? And we spoke about what is a population. And in getting the definition of what a community is and what a population is, we came to recognize that the tradition is a natural religion. What we practice is in sync with nature. Okay? So, therefore, it is essential for whatever we do, we must understand this scheme by which the entire planet, solar system, and universe operates with, so that we would not function out of sync with these things. So, because Ifa is universal and it is within the scheme of natural order, it is important for us to function within our role in order to be able to get the most out of whatever we do. So, the obedience, as it would relate to the cosmology of the Yoruba tradition, has to do with understanding our role within the framework of nature and functioning in such a way that we optimize the effect or the results that we are desirous of having. So when the term obedience is used, it is generally in Yoruba cosmology dealing with the coordination of everything within its place and order. Within a society, however, there is also an order. Within a village, there is order. Within a family, there is order. So when we speak of obedience, we're talking about people fulfilling their roles and their function as a part of an overall society where the society stands to benefit collectively the most. Baba was speaking about the second thing on the list of priority for the for the subject. So I was just speaking about Itariba, which is obedience. I don't know if you want to add something. Well, I know you missed part of what I say, so even if you repeat something I say, is no problem. So I want you to speak a little bit on obedience.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. Civility and Iteriba, Iteriba, respect and civility. I think, yeah. But I'll try and catch up. All right, no problem. All right. So when you say Ifagbawo, 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 Ifa Orisa means family. Ifa Orisa means community. Ifa Orisa means you are never alone. In terms of when we as a speaking about community, Iteriba, which speaks about civility and respect for each other. You know, when we talk about when we say Abura Boye, somebody say Abuato, Asure, Iwori Ofun, Ashe, we are greeting one, but we also say, may we live long. But if we don't are not living civil, we're not living respectful with each other, are we going to live long just to try to see who could kill who first? So we have to understand when we are recognizing or identifying ourselves as Ifa Orisha, the community itself. It is about nurturing. It is about a wholesomeness. So the relationship between the ancestors, the Orishas, the Babalaos, the egg bear, the egg ungun, the Yamis, it is a relationship that is holistic to the whole thing. So it is the civility of Ifa, of knowing everybody has a space, everybody has a time. The sun have to do his time. The moon tries to catch up, but he still has his time. We have a gun and we have oro. Each serves basically the same functions, but each will have its space and time for them to operate without creating problem. There's a civil agreement. There's a structure. When we look at what we're striving towards is in terms of getting people to understand we have been educated by a system that has placed us where they want us. We are trying to reach where we has chosen to become when we left heaven to come to earth as any perfect human striving to make the world better. Just as how the Orishas came to form and shape the world, we also here to form and shape the world. We are aspects of Orisha. We are manifestation of Orisha. We have the highest Orisha, Ori. We are connected Ori Eleda. So we have to understand this. So now it comes that when we go to the next word, which is Inurere, which talk about goodwill, having a good mind towards others. So if we go back to Orosiso, is that sometimes even if our words hard or words are harsh, it is done because we want to make sure that there's clarity in what we are sharing with others. There are those who you have to speak.
Okay. Again, for some reason, we lost Baba there momentarily. All right. So what he was talking about is inurere, which is goodwill and good mind. All right. Now, again, for us who live in the diaspora, we do have a concept of what is having a goodwill, a good intention towards other people with our action. And we also familiar with what it is to have a good mind, meaning to see the good in others and to think good of others because of the way we view them. All right. Now, I think, yes, these are both two noble characteristics, but the emphasis on the term good in both instances with the will, which is the manifestation and your thought through actions, as well as your intent. These things are sort of based on certain other foundational um, characteristics that are considered to be of great value to African tradition, right? The concept of hard work, right? Um, Respect for seniors, all right? Um, these are some of the values, family responsibilities, all right? Responsibilities for your spouse, your parents, your children, and also your commitment and care for the wider community. I believe many of these values are values that our elders, our parents, our grandparents had. And
That's
much of these values were lost somewhere along the line. All right, whether it's because of education, which I suspect is probably one of the main contributors to these type of changes. Because what would have happened during the time that I was going to school? My grandmother, my grandparents were alive, and many times they would put us to sit down and they would relate to us stories They would tell us various things, right? Now, where I believe a lot of the problems occurred in our minds, what created confusion and what we call ambivalence is the fact that some of the things that our parents and grandparents would have said to us would have been very different from what our educators at school would have told us. And in
And
many
Oye
instances,
Kumeji,
because we respected
read
those
140.
who were given the responsibility to teach us in the educational institutions, we would have taken the lessons from them to have more value, more validity, more truth than what our grandparents may have said, right? And we may have attributed a lot of what our parents or grandparents may have said, in some cases, to superstition and say, well, you know, these people don't know what they are talking about. So, for the exchange of a formal education versus the same oral tradition which we mentioned on top in the discussing the first most valued thing, which is the transmitting of the value system and the tradition through word of mouth. Most of that became discounted once we entered into the educational institutions that we consider to be the official source of knowledge. All right, Baba, I was just elaborating on some of the additional values that are associated to good in a societal context in terms of the village and the family and some of the responsibilities that
Yeah,
are associated. I don't know if you might wanna because you started, so I don't know if you might want to finish what you were saying concerning goodwill and good minds before we go on to Otito, which is truth.
yeah. Well, we do Omoluabi. Well, I don't want to say you already went into Otito because you know we like to talk about what truth means and we just rarely talk the truth. If you understand what I'm saying.
Now I hear you say really, so I ain't sure if it's rare you're
Right?
saying or really.
Yeah, you
So the
hear me?
question is it rarely or is it
So
really?
Otito, the truth. I want to take a reading from Oyeku, Oyeku Meji, Otito. You want to read for me?
Yeah.
Read hard. Hello.
Aboru Aboye again.
Yeah. Uh, really? Now, we're going to Oyeku Meji because what you're speaking, I said, we speak about truth, but rarely we just speak the truth in terms of what is the issue that we need to talk about. What are the issues we need to deal with? So we always talk about, oh, Tito, oh, Dodo, speak the truth, tell the facts. You're right. We don't need to go further and explain any truth. Now let me go into the truth. Let's go straight into it.
An honest sage is no longer in existence. A truthful person is very rare indeed. When I no longer have any reliable person to confide in, I choose to keep my thoughts within. Those are the declaration of the oracle to Ajawu, who is being befriended by earthly beings and heavenly beings. He was asked to offer sacrifice. He complied. Alas, all the human beings seeking my friendship, I hearkened not. My thoughts had been kept within me, all heavenly beings seeking my friendship. I am not interested in your friendship. I have kept my thoughts within me.
Ashe?
Ashe.
All right. So
Sure.
that's how Oyeku Meji was speaking. We already say the truthful ones are few. Those who are dishonest are in multitudes. Right? If I said it is difficult, if not impossible, for dishonest people to penetrate an honest person if the latter does not share his thought with them. This is not to suggest that one should keep malice with anyone on account of dishonesty, but rather do not share your inner mind with any dishonest person except to advise them to desist from such attitude. Now, a lot of people do not see me in crowd. They, they don't see me in festivals. If they see me, I may just pass, yes, but not regular. Because sometimes I say, when my thoughts is what need to be done, I have to keep it to myself, because sometimes when we are honest and say, hey, we need to fix this, everybody will say yes, 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 and then when you make the effort, everybody speak about why he's doing that. That is, he's not doing a good thing. We see this in many issues. What's happening in our community? Even today, there's issues going around, and people are just saying, so okay, what is the truth? What is the facts concerning the matter? How can we resolve the matter that is before us? So rather than just saying what is right and what is wrong, let me see what can be done and what is necessary to be done. So I think when we talk about truth is an uncomfortable position for some. And even if sometimes those who comfortable with telling the truth, they will be lambasted. They will be hated more than the person who would lie to them. You know, we just have our ladies that go and buy a dress and they say, oh, this dress is so, how you like this dress? It's 3 years now, or how long I saving to buy this dress? And you are watching this and you want to, you're not looking good in it. And she will not be upset because so long, yeah, but you're not. But so some people rather say, oh, yes, you look beautiful. Just to find comfort because in knowing the reaction by telling the truth does not always be agreeable. You know? And these are the things we cannot look for acceptabilities in the crowd or the multitude to elevate our community, especially as leaders. I just tell even those who closest to me, I say, I rather all they hate me, because only when all they vex, always tell me how big my head is. It's only when they vex, they say, Baba, your nose over big for your face. But when they like you, they'll tell you your head big, your thing, and they, hey, you're looking cute, you're looking handsome, Baba. Hate me and tell me the truth. Because when you become familiar in telling me the truth, you'll tell yourself in life the truth about life situations. And this is what Ifa is about. Everything that Ifa says has some connotation, but not everything you like. Not everything you can agree with, but it is a truth that you have to face. Because now, from Otito, we have to look at the character. Am I going to sacrifice my character just to please everybody? Am I going to hold back on the truth to say what is the truth, or act in accordance to the truth, so people will say, okay, Baba, well, yes, we will say, we go work with you, Baba. Oh. We have to remember, though every pot sits on its own bottom, every collective have to bring about the good condition. I can do it alone, but I can't sacrifice my character, my Iwa. What you said on Iwa?
Good character.
From
Listen,
the it's just
All right, the person gonna
from
read.
the Odu Ogbe Irete. I'm let her read from that.
All right.
Go ahead,
Listen to your husband.
manager.
The instruction of one's husband is worth listening to. A woman who will die wrench she is the one who frowns at her husband. She hisses on him and looks at her husband with contempt. Her husband will slap her face and send her packing. A woman who will die in prosperity. She is the one who wriggles her hands in supplication to her husband. She will say, "My husband, what do you say?" She will ask for what he likes to eat. Will you like to take a bath? Will you prefer to take a nap? She will give him a smile. She will spread her 2 hands in due to respect. Her husband will then pray for her and bless her. These were the declarations for Ifa to Oge, the wife of Ogbe Ate. When she
When she
was
was
about to get married to her husband, now here comes Oge, the beloved wife of Ogbe Ate. Please look for a comfortable place and place Oge.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Yeah.
Okay.
But now, why I use that essay or that stanza in terms of before we could even have a good relationship with any Orisha, we must have a good relationship with our own family. We must have that respect. How the wife shows the husband respect is how the husband will return the respect that is bound to, that is deserving to the wife. It's not about a man thing and a power thing, but it's terms we all have to understand what is my character. My character is Baba. Your character is dancer. This one character is singer. What is your character? So people have to find their character and understand with your character there are responsibilities you have to follow. There are responsibilities you have to think. So when we strive to become, let me say, I'll use the term Babalao. I don't like that. But I'm a Baba Ifa. I'm a Baba that propagates the wisdom of Ifa. Anywhere I go, I speak Ifa. Everywhere I go, they call me Baba. I'm not a Babalao. But when we're striving to become a Babalao, even in those aspects, we have to expect respect and also give respect.
Definitely.
So it is not only just about talking about Iwa and talk about situations and this and how people should behave and this is the right way and this is the wrong way. We have to understand that all the virtues, all the aspects, we only covered about 5 aspects of Omoluabi. And it already identified that we, you are the important factor in this whole collective thing called universal community of Ifa Orisa.
Baba, we have
And it's by
three.
allowing people to understand. I just said, now my mantra is to all my clients, students, whoever's called, stop worshiping them spirit that is outside of you. Start to worship the spirit inside of you. The ocean in you, the Shango in you, the Ogun in you. Start to worship them. Start to take care of them. You'll go and clean and you'll build a stool for a spirit out there and you won't even fix your own bed. So we have to understand where's my character? I am carrier of Ori. Ori is the spirit of Ifa. is the only Risha that say it will stay with you from the beginning and the end of time. It will travel all the journeys. It will stay with you in good times. It will stay with you in bad times. It will stay with you when times are all struggling, or even in the elevated time, and even in your last travels, your Ori will say, well, let me go back to where we have to go. So when we develop our Iwa Pili, our Iwa, our character, Iwa Rere, Iwa what let's call Ela Iwori, when we connect with our divine space, or Ipori, and understand how do I shape my character to carry this Orisha Ori well, to walk as the gods walk. Remember when we develop our Ori Nu, our inner spirit reaches its apex, we become Orisha. We become Orisha. So the same way we develop and worship the Orishas outside of us and the Orisha within us, it is now set the example for people now how would they worship the Orisha that is in you, that is walking in life existence. When people wouldn't even respect our prime minister, respect our president, respect our politician, respect our counselor, respect our priest, Babalao, yeah, whatever you call them. Ah, wait, 3 minutes. 3 minutes ago. All right.
1 minute, Baba.
So, in concluding, I just want to identify a little pamphlet which I had thing. How can we move forward with the African cultural restoration? And I think all this is help us to achieve Omoluabi. First, ancestral worship. Let us erect our ancestral shrines. Let us also erect our communal ancestral shrines. Take down the Columbus and let me put our ancestors on podiums. Cultural image. I get your name. Connect with the African name. If you say we're going back to Jack days, it was the concept that was right. We had to have ideas, values, and morals in terms of when you talk about sexual code. Too much confusion in our what is our gender. Education program. The education system that is here is educating us to be servants, slaves, and workers for the system. Let me educate our people to be rulers of businesses, owners of businesses, entrepreneurs, not entrepreneurs of small business, but entrepreneurs of $billion enterprises. We have the potential. Economic programs. Let us be able to start our own business and put the facilities for the young ones to be able to start. Why I, with my gray beard, should be looking to start a business? Where I should be trying to assist young ones to establish businesses. If they're not stingy,
Okay, folks. Well, we lost the host of the show. And anyway, it's really time for us to close off because we've already exceeded the 1 hour mark. So, viewers, I would encourage you to join us next week. And I would ask you to like, share, and subscribe. And Odabo.